Greetings, everyone. My name is Irina Manakovska, and today I co-host Ivan Petrenko, and we're going to talk about innovations, how make them work. And Ivan will share extraordinary experience from Ukraine, actually how startups, innovations, innovative spirit, and growth mindset still survive in Ukraine despite war, despite crisis Ukraine has. And we are making this podcast as a part of LinkedIn Shorts collaboration with Future Summit, which is going to be this February 15th and 16th in Stockholm. So if you're interested, you can secure ticket. And I will start from introduction. My name is Irina Manakovska. I'm VP of Strategy at Java Software Solutions. And today I'm very pleased to talk to Ivan Petrenko. Ivan, can you please introduce yourself and tell a little bit more about what you're doing, how you're related with innovations?
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for the introduction and for the invitation. Yes, my name is Ivan Petrenko, and I'm managing partner of Angel One Venture Fund, which is a Ukrainian venture fund focusing on Ukrainian startup founders, and we invest in pre-seed and seed stages in Ukrainian startup founders, and we'll help them scale, grow, and and try to conquer global markets. And my another role, I'm CEO at the CFE Accelerator, which is a startup accelerator, again, in Ukraine. And we are working here with Ukrainian early stage startups, and we help them to get to the stage where we can invest in them as an Angel One VC.
Superb. So I think we may start from the very beginning. So can you please make a quick overview? What happens with startups in Ukraine? I mean, are there any kind of particular areas of startups like military tech, something related to drones or whatever, which is evolving, flourishing in Ukraine now? So what are your observations as a part of Invest Fund?
Okay, as always, it's a tough question because before the full-scale war, the startup ecosystem was flourishing and it was booming. And we had a lot of cases of international venture funds looking to invest into Ukrainian startups, opening their offices in Ukraine to hunt for Ukrainian startups and invest in them. It was a very good situation. I mean, we all looked forward to all of these things happening, and a lot of new startups emerged in Ukraine. A lot of people from the IT industry would switch to founding their own startups because they saw the opportunity. Once the full-scale war started, the situation obviously went from very good to very bad. A lot of the mature startups were forced to leave the country, mostly because of the obligations with their investors. Their investors wanted them to leave the country, obviously, to have the money somewhere safe. The toughest thing was, I'd say, the situation on Ukrainian startups, because again, all the funds that I've just mentioned, they stopped all their projects. They stopped their initiatives to enter the Ukrainian market. Then when we're talking about the Ukrainian startups, most of which did not have any international sales, they were the ones that suffered the most because Ukrainian market shrank a lot. It became almost non-existent. So the biggest problem was all of a sudden they lost most of their clients and they were not ready to get international clients. They needed time for that. They needed money, and it became impossible to get that money. So that was the toughest thing. Again, I should say that there was some positive projects, like different grant opportunities. Like we founded one, it was the Seven Wings Fund, and we fundraised some money and we backed a few Ukrainian startups to give them that timeline, to attract new investment and get used to new conditions. Then some more companies like Meta, like Google for Startups, they also opened their grant programs for Ukrainian startups and supported quite some. So it gave Ukrainian startups that I'd say something new, which is called now adaptivity and resilience, I'd say. So Ukrainian startups,
Agility, yeah.
yeah. So Ukrainian business, Ukrainian startups, those who survived, they're very resilient. Obviously, bootstrapping is the new word, and most of Ukrainian startups know now that you have to bootstrap as long as possible in order to get clients, preferably on global markets, and then you can attract investment from just about anywhere in the world. Yeah, so that's the general overview. Getting back to like what type of startups suffered the most. Well, I'd say that it was all about, well, obviously local startups, and I'd say that the agrotech, hospitality probably suffered the most because that's these markets were developing very rapidly in Ukraine. Now, obviously, because of the full-scale war and because of the market, which is again, as I mentioned, non-existent anymore, these projects had to be put on hold.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that the things that still work, I'd say that it's AI, obviously just about as anywhere because it doesn't recognize any boundaries. I'd say that health tech and obviously miltech startups. You've asked about the defense tech, miltech startups. This industry is obviously on a high rise, but there's not much information about it. So we have this great platform, Brave One, by the Ministry of Digital Transformation, and it's a fantastic project to give to back Ukrainian teams, Ukrainian projects with military expertise, with business expertise, and technical one, and help them to get investors. And it's developing rapidly. As far as I know, they have over 300 startups teams on their platform now, and they're working closely with them. We're trying to help them as well with whatever we can with Angel One. But obviously, there's not much information about these kind of startups because a lot of the information is classified.
Yeah, obviously.
And it's on its very beginning, so it's only starting to develop. But a lot of the investors are looking closely on the miltech startups.
Yeah, because now, like a lot of countries, they're thinking about their boundaries and security. And on the other hand, Miltech is also not only about like military use cases. It's also about use cases related to any kind of emergency. And today we see a lot of emergency situation due to climate crisis. I mean, like floods or whatever, where some of the technologies from which were born in Ukraine due to the war could be used in other countries where there are no war conflict, but there are some emergencies, and it's very useful experience. And I think today we all need to prepare for this. So it's very good that we have use cases, but very bad that we pay such a high price for this for them.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the biggest challenges that we see now with miltech startups. So the military expertise, okay, it's on its way, and it's good that such platforms as Brave One provides it. But I'd say another big challenge where we see we can sort of help is the business expertise. So a lot of those young people who enter this market and they come with their inventions, with their developments, with their projects, they oftentimes lack business expertise or understanding of the business model, how to scale, how to find clients, how to sell on international markets, things like that, how to use unit economics, the things that, I mean, sales, marketing, distribution. And that's where we try to be helpful with our expertise.
Actually, I think it's one of the most important stuff because today, as far as I see as a mentor as well, when you have an idea, it's very good. It's important. It's creativity, some innovations, growth mindset, whatever. But if you can't make this idea work, you can't create deliverables. Actually, it doesn't change anything. I mean, it's not about only making money. It's about making things work. So that's why this kind of business
one of the very important differences between Ukrainian investors and, let's say, international investors. Ukrainian investors oftentimes want some kind of some technology because they know it has to work. It has to help our win. It has to help us win. But then, let's say foreign investors, they primarily look at the business side of the opportunity. Is there a business opportunity? Is this product, is there a demand for this technology, not only in Ukraine, but also elsewhere in the world, not only today or tomorrow, but also like in a year, in 5 years. So we have to understand that, and we have to make those engineers and developers understand that business side as well.
Yeah, and it's also about long-term planning. I think it's
Obviously.
very critical skill. I mean, today everything is changing and we are living in this VUCA times, but still we need to have some kind of plan. We need to have like long-term goals, and this will allow us to change something and actually to live in the better place. You have started to talk about like the ecosystem which Ukraine now has to support startups, and you're part of this ecosystem. So how do you think, I mean, which kind of ecosystem in the perfect world should be to support startups, innovations, and create this, open innovation circle? And what is the impact of the ecosystem on actually how many ideas, how many new businesses, how many startups we can generate? I mean, and how easy it is to cooperate for startups with business. So can you please, like, on your experience, maybe you can bring some cases from Ukraine, from other countries. I know you have wide network. So where have you seen these successful cases of collaboration between different stakeholders of innovative ecosystem, and what would you suggest to those who are building these ecosystems now across Europe and other countries?
Okay. Well, I'd say one of the best cases that I can think of is Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine, because they about 5 years ago, roughly something like that, 4 years ago, they started their initiatives to embrace the startup industry and make it work. About 4 years ago or something like that, I'm not sure like these numbers, but let's say 4 years ago, ministry launched Ukrainian Startup Fund, which was the only governmental institution, governmental body that provided startups with grants, 25 and 50K US dollars. And they gave like over 3 million in grants, which was a great result for Ukraine. And it helped, for these young teams to emerge, because they would know that they can apply and get these grants, and it would give them this time and money to validate their ideas, create their prototypes and get their first clients until they become interesting for the investors, for the VCs. What we do need, unfortunately, with the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the Ukrainian Startup Fund ceased the giveaway of these grants for obvious reasons, and we definitely lack these kind of institutions. So we need, this kind of organization. We need a lot of them. So what we lack here in Ukraine, we don't lack VC money, because before the war we had enough of that, and I'm sure as soon as the war is over, we will see a lot of venture firms coming here to Ukraine and headhunting for Ukrainian startups. Moreover, even now, despite the war, we see a few Ukrainian venture firms. I'm running one of them, who actively invest in Ukrainian startups. And there are a lot of deals. Obviously not as many as we'd like to, but still, we're quite optimistic. But what we lack is obviously these these small checks, like 10, 15, 20, 30K, for these young emerging teams to become valid.
So you're talking about this to support this like disruptive level, where you need to create some kind of environment when a lot of ideas can occur, like numerous ideas, and you invest small amount of money to support each of them, or not each of them, but most of them, a lot of them. So some of them could proceed to a higher stage and actually to become future unicorns, decacorns, and whatever. Because it's like normally about like Pareto principle. So you need to invest a lot to receive some kind of like sustainable result.
Yeah. So what we lack is we lack grant money, these super early stage, and we lack angel investment. So we don't have a lot of angels, again, because of the situation in the country. Obviously, again, after the 2022, when the war has started, the full scale war, most of those emerging angel investors, most of them stopped working with startups, again, because they are not sure of the economic situation. So that's what we lack. And I'd say another thing that we have to improve greatly is the development of the innovations and the startup ecosystem within the universities. That's what we need, again, because just having a room with a black incubator does not make it an incubator at a university, let's say. There needs to be an ecosystem, right? You need people who will run these incubators, accelerators, who know how to work with startups, with these young teams, who know how to help them validate their ideas, who know how to mentor them. Again, if universities would have their own small funds to support these type of ideas. This is also something that we started working just before the war, and that's something that we will have to keep on working and developing. Like me, myself, I come from business. I'm a serial entrepreneur, but at a certain point, I sold my business. I came to the Ukrainian Catholic University, and we discussed and we agreed on launching an accelerator, startup accelerator. And they're a fantastic partner who knows that they want to embrace business, embrace innovations, and started working with it. So, I mean, we have student incubator within the university. We have startup accelerator, and for the fourth year, I think, we're working on that, developing that startup ecosystem. And I think that kind of example needs to scale here in Ukraine. So these are two things I think we need. Well, not, I think I'm sure we need to develop here in Ukraine in order to have more success stories.
Yeah, but if you're going to look to other ecosystems, other countries, and how they manage this innovative stuff, so yeah, a lot of universities and educational institutions they work as R&D centers for business. They
Yeah.
run different kinds of, like corporate innovations programs. They also have any kind of like open innovation days, whatever. I mean, so yeah, it's very, very important because a lot of stuff occurs on this level where people are young, they're very passionate about the ideas, and they can see things differently. It's about mindset. When we become
Yeah.
adults, we're like tend to make some kind of predictable stuff. I mean, we're looking for predictable stuff. It's about how our brain works. It's nothing bad. I mean, actually, by combining this thing, we can create some emerging innovations. I mean, we have passionate people who want to change the world, and we have corporations who don't want to change anything. They just want profit.
Yeah,
So when
exactly.
we marry them, good things secure. So we have new products, we have, I don't know, new technologies, whatever. Yeah, I think it's very important, and I'm glad to hear that this first project based in Ukraine, they're already working, operating in somehow mode, but anyhow, it's very
We
important.
have, we have a few projects like that, but definitely that's not enough. And I remember me myself, as again, with a business background, me talking to some businessmen, to some businesses. I've tried to explain them that working with universities is a win-win situation for the business because, well, if to put it very, very simple, validating like basic ideas, basic innovations through student minds is very cheap for corporations, for
Yeah.
businesses. That's why, I mean, one of the reasons it works, like, let's say, in the
Yeah, but
US.
it's about,
Not only that,
but it's about long-term investment. I mean,
exactly,
you need to understand that by investing in these youngsters, their ideas, or even investing in startups, so you will receive some kind of commercial result in years.
yeah,
I mean, and if you're building your incubator or you're working with some kind of collaborating incubator accelerator, it may even take more time. I mean, to find a unicorn, it's just a statistic. I mean, it's nothing
That's
bad. I mean,
that's about that mindset that a
yeah,
lot of the Ukrainian businessmen, they only start to develop because they're not used to long-term planning, because of economic and political
yeah.
situation.
Obviously, there are like reason for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you try to explain them, hey, you have to invest, and you're not going to get any results most probably within the 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Only then, it's tough for them sometimes to embrace that thought.
Yeah, and actually, here we're like creating a bridge to my next question. I know that you have developed a partnership with Stanford, and before this session, we were talking about it to support entrepreneurs from Ukraine. I mean, some kind of educational program, and I know that it's going to be a long-term partnership. So, for this year, the application is already ended, and you have a beautiful cohort of, I think, outstanding entrepreneurs who will present Ukraine perfectly. So can you please like tell a little bit about this program, and maybe for next year someone will save this information and apply for this program, and I mean, how it's important to collaborate and partner with such kind of institution, how this education, I mean, changes mindset and how it affects business. So
Yeah, sure. We understood that. The next level of the entrepreneurial development in Ukraine, it lies in sales, marketing channels abroad. Not only in Ukraine, we have to go global. We have to become a second Israel. That has to understand that we have to sell all the world, and we have to become competitive there. So what can be the best way other than getting help from best experts there is? And so what we did is we communicated with Stanford Graduate School of Business and their Stanford Ignite program, and we agreed on having 4 programs, so 4 years of cooperation, and making that crafted program for Ukrainian entrepreneurs, Stanford Ignite Ukraine. And now we're looking for the first program, which will start in 1 month. And this time we chose 42 participants, 42 Ukrainian entrepreneurs that will go through a 4-week online program by Stanford Graduate School of Business experts, mentors, and lectors. And then we will take them for 3 weeks to Stanford, and they will finalize their projects and their program there. After which we will closely look and help them to achieve the results. Those results that they want and we want them to achieve to improve their business models and their businesses, to create new jobs and attract new investments. And we're looking for 4 years of this program in cooperation with Stanford and with Ministry of Digital Transformation. And we were again financially backed by USAID. So these are great partners who helped us to promote that program. And I'm looking forward for that. So whoever's interested, you have to follow us because this one's too late. But we will start the next process at the beginning of next autumn. So it's half a year, not that much.
it's not so much. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs who like dramatically change their business model, or even they sold their business, started new business after they finished some kind of like powerful institutions like Berkeley or Stanford or Harvard. I mean, a lot of business programs, not those which are like MBAs, they're mostly for corporations, but those who for entrepreneurs. And it's very powerful tool to make a good brainwash, I think. And the last question, it's also related to mindset. So every time I feel I'm lack of ideas or I stuck somewhere, I go to a nice networking or business event to grab ideas, to talk to people, to listen to them, first of all, to understand, I mean, what's happening around the world. So to make my picture broader. Now, me and you are going to participate this future summit of Ukraine, which is going to be in Stockholm in February 15, 16. So, and actually as business conference season is about to start. So what are your recommendations? Why it's worth participating in this kind of events? Because I know, for example, for tech business, a lot of founders, they're introverts. They don't like this business stuff. They want to create result, perfect system, solution, product, but they don't want to participate any kind of public events. Why it's important and how it's actually empowers business you are working on or your own?
Well, it's first and foremost about context, right? Because it's good working on the product, but just working on the product does not sell it. So you have to sell your product. You have to sell yourself as a founder, as a startup founder, as a business founder. So what's the best way to do it, and where's the best place, rather than going to an event with alike people, people who are looking for investment, people who are looking to invest, people who are looking for partnerships. I've been participating in quite a few events over the course of last 2 years, organized here by our Ministry of Digital Transformation and backed by USAID and Ukrainian Startup Fund. And I have to say that most of the Ukrainian startups that went to these events, that's where they look for their first partners and investors, because they have a possibility to present themselves, to talk to these people and establish those connections. Obviously, you're not going to get most probably you're not going to get investment on your first
Or
meeting.
you won't sell anything, during this event, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But you can get to know people. They get to see you. They get to feel you. Like, what are you as a person? What do you talk about? What's your progress? And if you make them want to meet you again, and listen to your presentations afterwards, that's how these relations are born. At the Angel One Fund, when we talk to the teams that apply for investment, we say, hey, it takes time. We need to get to know each other. We want to see how passionate you are about your product. If you're an introvert, okay, but you have to communicate with people. If you don't want, or if you don't like to talk to people, hey, find a co-founder that will do that job for you, because someone has to do fundraising and sales, and that is a full-scale job. You cannot do it like 10% of the time, otherwise you're not going to get any clients or any investors. So there has to be someone who does that on a regular basis, 24/7, and it takes a lot of time. It takes months, sometimes years. So you have to go to events like that. You have to talk to people. You have to listen to people and just get to know them. That's how you do your sales.
And actually, it's also about long-term results. Delayed result, because as far as I know, I had a podcast with a CEO of iClub. It's an angel investment club, and we were talking about relations with investors, among investors. We were talking about relations between startups. How this networking work, and actually what's the value behind. And the idea is that not all startups, they receive a lot of funding during their first or second year sometimes. But if you provide consistent track record and you consistently expand your network and report to your network, it helps you to secure innovations if you survive, obviously. But it helps you to create this delayed result. It's some kind of demand generation if we are talking about marketing and sales. So you create demand for you as a professional, you create demand for your product, service, whatever, and conferences and this networking you receive during the conferences, insights, they help to actually do this. Yeah.
It's oftentimes, we have to realize that sometimes it's not what you sell, it's how you sell. Sometimes you have to, the investors want to see passion, they want to see confidence, they want to see your vision. And these things are not necessarily about the product. There has to be a product, there has to be tech, obviously, I understand that. But it's also, what's your vision of whatever you're about to create or what you're selling? How passionate you are about it. Investors look for that. And if you're not, communicating, it's much harder to establish those long-term relations, and it's tougher and much harder to explain investors why should they invest in these relations and give you your money.
It's also about energy. I mean, if you provide some kind of like energy, I mean, it's like communication between people. It's always about some kind of
Yeah,
energy. And yeah, and here it's also about energy because if you mm, look like a person who's very passionate and very active, it also give you more credit. And it's not about the knowledge. It means I mean, subconsciously we understand that it means, okay, this person won't fail just because he or she will continue to try,
yeah,
and it may lead to result. It doesn't matter that so because as far as I see on Ukrainian entrepreneurs, and not only on Ukrainian, it's mostly about like tech introvert peoples, and I'm one of those. We're thinking about making something which is 100% guaranteed,
yeah,
but it's impossible in business. I mean, business is also some kind of like balance between failures and wins, and it may change through the years. But the idea is how you overcoming these changes, how you overcoming these failures, because everything is, yeah. Okay, sounds interesting. And we're like on top of our podcast. Maybe one last advice. I know you travel and also as well a lot. So, what's your secret? How to prevent burnout from this conference and networking and business events?
Oh, well, I'd say that's about some kind of a hobby. I mean, if you have something that helps you to relax, it might be skiing, it might be traveling, it might be hanging out with friends. Someone does meditation, whatever helps you to just relax. And I mean, me myself, I'm a venture investor. I run the fund, and I have to communicate with people a lot. But sometimes I feel exhausted. I'm just overwhelmed with communicating, with networking, and I just sometimes love that time on my own, just to walk around the city, just look at the architecture, go to the food market and have something to eat, get something to eat, and not talk to anyone. And whatever keeps you going, whatever gives you that time to relax, to be with yourself, and then go back to whatever you're doing, and networking and talking and establishing relations. You have to have some kind of a hobby that keeps you going.
I like how you put it. So reconnecting with yourself. It's like
Yeah,
reboot. I mean, we're
that's very
rebooting our
important.
PCs and Macs, and we're rebooting ourselves.
Yeah. It's very tough now with all these
Yeah.
informations, especially if you're in Ukraine, let's say, because we're all into politics now. I mean, we listen to news 24/7 because, I mean, obviously that's part of our reality. Yeah, that influences everyone. And yeah, sometimes we have to find something to reconnect and just relax. Yeah.
That's very good. Thank you so much for participating, and we inviting all of those who are going to watch this recorded or you are live with us to participate this Future of Ukraine Summit, which is going to be in Stockholm on February 15, 16. And Ivan, thank you. I hope to see you in Stockholm in a month, almost in a month, and
Yep.
wishing you all the best and have a safe day in Lviv.
Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.